Hi guys, Ajay here, and this is a JAC capsule on factoring. In this video, we're going to look at the formula for the difference of squares and understand a sum of squares. Let's do it. Do you know the formula for the difference of squares? If so, pause the video and write it down. Then come back and check your answer. If not, let's do it. The difference of squares The formula for the difference of squares is a squared minus b squared is equal to a minus b times a plus b. Now, the reason for this is because when we think about expanding a minus b times a plus b, the middle terms are going to cancel out. So we don't have a squared plus something times ab plus b squared. That ab in the middle cancels out. Let's expand to see how. So if we're thinking of a minus b times a plus b, and we want to expand it, we're going to use FOIL. And FOIL tells us to multiply the first terms together, then to multiply the outer terms together, then to multiply the inner terms together, then to multiply the last terms together. So if we start with f, the first terms will give us a squared. Then the outer terms will give us AB, the inner terms will give us minus BA, and the last terms will give us B squared. And look what happens. This AB minus BA, because the order of multiplication does not matter, is the same thing as AB minus AB. And we can see that those middle terms cancel out, leaving us with a squared minus b squared. Now, check the next video for an example of how this works and how we identify our a and b. Now, what do you know about the sum of squares? Again, if you think you know something, pause the video, write it down, then come back and see if you're right. So a sum of squares would be of the form a squared plus b squared. And it turns out that it is irreducible. That means it cannot be factored. So is irreducible. So a squared minus b squared is a minus b times a plus b. A squared plus b squared is irreducible, cannot be factored. Now, there are two ways to think about why this would be true. When we factor something, we're often finding the x value or the value that we could plug in that would make 0. So if we think about when a squared plus b squared is equal to 0, that would be like saying, when does a squared equal to negative b squared? But I know that a squared is positive. Oops. And I know that b squared is also positive. So for this to be true, I would have to have a positive value equal to a negative value, and that just never happens. So a squared equals negative b squared doesn't happen. Never happens. Unless, of course, both a and b are 0, and then we don't really have a thing. Another way to think about this is, if I were to try to factor this, then I would have some a and some b here, or some factor of b and some factor of a, and they would be multiplied by something else. That's some factor of a and some factor of b. The middle terms would have to cancel out when I expand. But the only way for that to happen would be for one of them to be negative. But that is not possible here because both a squared and b squared are positive. So we won't end up with any negative value to cancel out in the middle. So the answer is, this thing is irreducible. There's no way we can factor it. All right, that's all, guys. Bye.